Imagine a man in a suburban driveway polishing a brand new Range Rover that he cannot actually afford to maintain. He looks like he has finally arrived, but his checking account is gasping for air at exactly $42 before his next payday. Across the street, his neighbor is washing a 7-year-old sedan, but he just finished a phone call where he turned down a $200 dinner invite. He did not say he was busy. He said he was not going because that meal was not in his budget. This is the difference between performing wealth and actually building it. We are entering a new era of radical transparency where the old rules of financial secrecy are being systematically dismantled by economic necessity. For decades, we have been conditioned to treat our bank accounts like our medical records, something private, shameful, and never to be discussed in polite company. But that silence is exactly what allows the middle-class trap to snap shut on so many high earners. Today, we are looking at the financial truth-telling movement of 2026. This is a multi-dimensional shift from the exhaustion of quiet luxury to a culture of brutal, actionable honesty at every level of our lives. At the personal level, the death of money taboos is being led by a generation that has realized pretense is a luxury they can no longer afford. They are breaking the internal shame cycle through a concept known as loud budgeting. Loud budgeting, a term popularized by creators like Lucas Battle, is the act of vocalizing your financial boundaries to the world. Instead of making excuses to avoid social pressure, you simply state the mathematical reality of your situation. When you say no to an $80 brunch because it doesn't align with your long-term goals, you aren't just saving cash. You are reclaiming your autonomy from a culture that demands you spend money you don't have to impress people you don't like. The impact of this shift is staggering. Data shows that 1 in 3 members of Gen Z now identifies as a loud budgeter, saving an average of $629 every single month. By setting transparent boundaries, these individuals are clawing back over $7,000 a year that would have otherwise vanished into the black hole of social performative spending. This is not just a trend, it is a survival strategy. This movement is supported by the rise of de-influencing. This is a countercultural wave where creators provide honest, often negative reviews of must-have products to discourage the cycle of overconsumption. By 2025, 62% of young consumers reported trusting peer de-influencing reviews more than traditional celebrity endorsements. They are looking for the truth behind the filter, and they are finding it in the math. However, the biggest hurdle to financial truth is often the one inside our own heads. This is what experts call financial avoidance, a psychological refusal to look at bank balances or mounting debt. Financial therapy is now treating this avoidance as a legitimate mental health barrier. It seeks to demoralize debt, stripping away the idea that a high balance is a sign of a failed character. Debt is not a moral failing. It is a financial hurdle that requires an honest, actionable recovery plan. You cannot fix what you are too afraid to measure, and measurement requires radical internal honesty. This transparency must extend beyond the individual and into our most intimate relationships. In 2026, truth-telling has become the only effective antidote to the silent epidemic of financial infidelity. Financial infidelity is the act of hiding accounts, secret debts, or unauthorized purchases from a partner. It is more common than most people realize, with 40% of adults admitting to some form of deception. In fact, 43% of couples now believe that keeping financial secrets is as bad as, or even worse than, physical cheating. The betrayal of trust in the bank account often mirrors the betrayal of trust in the home. To combat this, modern couples are moving away from the old binary of either totally joint or totally separate accounts. They are adopting a transparency model often called the yours, mine, and ours structure. This model allows for individual autonomy while ensuring that the total financial picture is visible to both parties. It is not about monitoring every cup of coffee. It is about agreeing on the destination of the ship. New tools are making this easier than ever. Platforms like Monarch Money and Origin allow couples to link their accounts for a shared view of net worth and investments without requiring shared passwords. Then there is Yomyo, a privacy-first tool designed for day-to-day receipt tracking. It allows individuals to maintain their own spending layers while feeding the essential data into a joint household budget. This infrastructure of trust is the primary predictor of long-term marital satisfaction. The data suggests that transparent couples see a 30% reduction in divorce-related financial conflict, creating a more stable foundation for wealth. But the push for truth is not just happening in our homes. It is being forced upon the corporate world by new legislative mandates. We are witnessing the birth of Pay Transparency 2.0. In the European Union, a major shift is coming with the June 7, 2026, deadline for the Pay Transparency Directive. All 27 member states must now require employers to disclose salary ranges up front. This law also bans the common practice of asking candidates about their salary history. It forces companies to pay for the role and the value it brings, rather than exploiting a worker's previous low wages. In the United States, states like New York and California have already set the pace. Now Illinois, Minnesota, Vermont, and New Jersey are implementing similar laws that require good faith pay scales in every job posting. These laws are stripping away the information asymmetry that has historically favored the employer. When everyone knows the range, the negotiation moves from a game of shadows to a discussion of merit. Institutional truth-telling is also changing the role of leadership. Modern chief financial officers are being inspired by radical transparency models to become storytellers rather than just gatekeepers of the ledger. They are now expected to explain the why behind the numbers to employees and investors alike. In a volatile economy, this transparency is the only currency that builds lasting trust within an organization. There is a common myth that this level of transparency ruins privacy and lowers morale. The reality is quite the opposite. Secrecy is what actually drives high turnover and low employee retention. Data from 2025 confirms that companies with transparent pay structures enjoy significantly higher levels of employee trust. When people know they're being treated fairly, they are more likely to invest their best effort. So, what is the actual math of this transparency? When you add up the benefits of loud budgeting, honest relationship management, and fair pay negotiation, the results are life-changing. The average household that moves from financial secrecy to radical honesty sees a truth dividend of over $7,500 in annual savings. That is money that was previously being bled out by social pressure and hidden fees. Think of this dividend not just as extra cash, but as autonomy credits. Every $1,000 you save through honesty is another week of freedom you have purchased from a job or a lifestyle you don't love. Wealth is the white space between your income and your spending. Transparency is the tool that allows you to widen that wedge by exposing the hidden costs of your own pretense. We often worry about the second cost of ownership, the maintenance, the insurance, and the storage. But we rarely account for the mental energy wasted on maintaining a financial mask that doesn't fit. Radical honesty allows you to stop paying the performance tax. It allows you to admit that you would rather have a funded retirement account than a designer bag that everyone knows you bought on credit. This transition to truth-telling is usually painful. It involves a vulnerability phase where you have to admit to your friends, your partner, and yourself that you aren't as far ahead as you've been pretending. But on the other side of that pain is a level of clarity that most people will never experience. It is the clarity of knowing exactly where every dollar goes and exactly how much your life actually costs. The math of the world does not care about your excitement or your embarrassment. It only cares about the numbers. If the numbers don't add up in the dark, they will never add up in the light. Choosing transparency means choosing to live in reality. It means realizing that debt is just a financial tool that has been mismanaged, and it can be solved with a clear, honest plan. It means recognizing that your salary is a market rate for your skills, and you have every right to know if that rate is fair. It means knowing that your partner is your teammate, not your auditor. In the end, financial truth-telling is about more than just money. It is about the power of being known and the freedom of having nothing to hide from the people who matter most. The Joneses are probably broke, and they are definitely stressed out trying to keep the secret. You don't have to live that way. You can choose the truth dividend instead. Take a look at your last 3 bank statements. Don't judge them, don't hide them, and don't make excuses for them. Just look at the math and decide if it represents the life you actually want to lead. If it doesn't, start loud budgeting tomorrow. Tell your friends you're focused on a goal. Tell your partner you want to see the total picture. Demand the salary range for that new role. The era of secrecy is over. The era of the storyteller CFO and the loud budgeter has arrived. And for those who are willing to be honest, the rewards are greater than any paycheck could ever provide. This is your battle for optionality. This is your path to a life where your bank account finally matches the person you see in the mirror. Stop performing and start building.